Hey y'all, welcome back to Caitlyn's Corner, and thank y'all for tuning in for our theme this week of Easter and bunnies and spring. So happy Easter everyone, and I wanted to finish this series out with the Tale of Peter Rabbit. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and this is by, of course, Beatrix Potter. And I have a little Peter Rabbit bunny with me today. Alright, if you're ready, we are going to get started, okay? So, the Tale of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sand bank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. So they lived under a tree. And there's Peter. "Now, my dears," said Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put into a pie by Mrs. McGregor." Then Mrs. Rabbit took her basket and umbrella and went through the woods to the baker. So where can they not go? They cannot go in Mr. McGregor's garden because something very bad happened to their father there. And she doesn't want the same thing to happen to her kids. So Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. So they're picking blackberries from a blackberry bush. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away towards Mr. McGregor's garden. Is that where he's supposed to go? No, his mother warned him not to go that way. And he squeezed under the gate. First he ate some lettuce and some French beans. Then he ate some radishes. So he's just chomping away on the vegetables in Mr. McGregor's garden. Peter ate so many radishes that he began to feel rather sick. He went to look for some parsley. Oh, he ate too much. But who do you think he should meet around the end of a cucumber frame? Who do you think was waiting for him? "Oh, help!" gasped Peter. "It's Mr. McGregor." Mr. McGregor was planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, shouting, "Stop, thief!" Uh-oh. Peter's been spotted. And does Mr. McGregor look happy? Or does he look angry? He's angry at Peter. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost his shoes and ran faster on all 4s. He's running. He's trying to get away, but he got lost. Indeed, Peter might have gotten away altogether if he had not run into a gooseberry net. Oh no, he had a trap set, Mr. McGregor did. "Hurry, Peter, hurry," urged some friendly sparrows. "It's no use," sobbed Peter, trying to struggle free. "My brass buttons are all caught up." Oh no, so Peter's stuck in the net. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon Peter, but Peter wriggled free, leaving his jacket behind. So he had to take off his jacket in order to get free. Peter rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a watering can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Oh, he was going to hide in the watering can, but it had a lot of water in it, so he couldn't hide there too good, could he? Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. So Mr. McGregor is looking and looking, and he's looking for Peter under each flower pot. Presently, Peter achoo, sneezed, and Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. Peter jumped out of a window and ran off. Mr. McGregor was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. So Mr. McGregor got a little bit tired trying to catch Peter. So hopefully Peter got away. But now Peter was quite lost. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. Oh no. So he's lost, and do you see Peter? He looks like he's crying. He's sad. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas to her family. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. And Peter began to cry. Oh no, you see the mouse, she had a lot of peas in her mouth. And Peter's trying to ask for directions, but she couldn't tell him. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. So puzzled would mean confused. Peter came to a pond where a white cat was staring at some goldfish. He crept away quietly. He had been warned about cats by his cousin, Benjamin Bunny. So, did he ask the cat for directions? No, he'd been warned that cats aren't too good to little rabbits. Peter went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. He came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Oh no. He sees Mr. McGregor working in the garden using a gardening hoe, and the gate is so far away. But Peter ran as fast as he could, slipped underneath the gate, and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. So he slipped away finally and crawled under the gate. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket that Peter had worn and had to take off when he got trapped in the net. And he hung up the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the little blackbirds. So he hung up Peter's jacket and Peter's shoes to try to act like a scarecrow to frighten the birds, but it's also kind of like a warning to Peter. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him until he got home to the big fir tree. His mother wondered what he had done with his coat and shoes. Uh-oh. He's going to have to tell Mother what he's done. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. So he wasn't feeling too well that night. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. So those three that didn't go into the garden, they had a delicious supper. And that's the end of that one. So this is one of the books that was adapted and based on the original tale of Beatrix Potter. So I hope y'all enjoy this one. And this is the tale of Peter Rabbit. Thank y'all for coming to Storytime, and happy Easter.